Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith. I wanted to give you all a little update on my fight with the system against these um, ridiculous mandates and unconstitutional overreach of our government. Um, and at the end of this, I want to say a few words to the rest of you who are standing strong against this. Um, These things have been found unconstitutional, right and left. A lot of people doubted that court fights would be successful. Well, so far they are being successful, far more than many people thought that they would be. We'll see what happens. But I wanted to kind of talk about my situation here and let you know what's going on and kind of maybe support some of you all who are also involved in this. As many, or if not most of you know, my wife and I were given the choice of either getting the poke or being fired. We said, fire us. We were allowed a religious exemption, which we put in for, and which they acknowledged. So we did get religious exemptions for that. I want to put in something right here, too. I think everyone in our church who put in a religious exemption using the information that I put on the church website on our position on food, drink, and medicine. I believe everyone was given a religious exemption, and in some cases they were the only one in our in their business who got that religious exemption. So there are ways to do it, and also I will say this, because I'm pretty disappointed with a lot of ministers and pastors out there. I provided a pastoral letter for every one of our members who asked me for one. And that's the way you fight it. You start fighting it from the beginning, and then we continue the fight. So we did, now bring it up here, we did receive religious exemptions, but one of the conditions of that was that we submit to weekly testing, that old, poke up the nose thing. We said, no, we're not going to do that either. That is discriminatory. It's targeting one group over another of employees. We know that it was just a matter of control. It was just a matter of them trying to intimidate us into submitting to that and placing us, giving us that yellow star, showing that we're the troublemakers. That no, not going to do that. So the first week that we didn't submit the test, we got verbal warnings, and the second week we didn't submit our test, we got, and of course then we were placed on administrative leave, disciplinary administrative leave, so that we couldn't work, we're not getting paid, we're not able to access many of the things that we could otherwise through our job. So we have been on that since the 1st of November 1, I believe. So no work, no pay, all that. And this obviously is a threat. It's extortion. It is holding families hostage. It's what they felt they were going to be able to force people to do because people couldn't afford to lose their jobs, right? They had to feed their children, and so they felt they'd be able to force a lot of people. Well, a lot of people have not gone along with it, but back to our situation. So we've gone through every week increasing levels of discipline. I just had a meeting with my leadership in my particular department. We are with a very large healthcare system. Yesterday and explained my position, why we were not submitting to what I consider to be targeted and essentially disciplining testing, and they actually understood. It's not our department necessarily disagrees. Many of them agree with our position. They haven't taken our position, but they understand it and agree with it. It's the very top level leadership, the CEO and all that of the healthcare system, who feel that they're little dictators and we are the peasants and we better do what they say. And I think they're being surprised at how many of us are not. and I won't go into it right now about how things are going into the toilet for systems who act like that, but I'll do that on another time. Anyway, so to bring you up to date on this, so that was probably, and I said, and they said, well, we can't overturn it at this level. So I said, okay, well, let's take it to the next level. So I am pursuing that, as is Kelly. Each through our own departments, we're taking it up to the very top until we exhaust all, until somebody wins and loses, right? We'll just see how that happens. One of the reasons, though, that I am pursuing this is because if you don't stay in the fight, you don't get to fight. Okay? If you just walk away, I mean, you can get mad and say, okay, I walk away. Well, you're not having an impact on that system anymore, except, as it impacts them that you're no longer there doing your job. And I understand that that can be a major impact for a lot of you. And so I'm not cracking on people who have done that. I'm explaining why I didn't. Because through each step of this, I get to express to a new level of people within the system exactly how unfair this is, that it's discriminatory and it's targeting. And the interesting thing is that each time I talk with somebody, it seems as if this argument is a surprise to them. They had not thought about it that way, and then they tell me that they understand how I am thinking and am feeling. Now, I may not win at the end of this, but I'm going to be able to get my opinion out to a whole lot of other people that I would not be able to if I just quit, right? Or if I didn't participate in the grievance process. Now, one of the things that they rely on, these companies, as did the government, as did our moronic little dictator, they thought that they were going to starve people into submission by threatening to take their livelihoods from them, and that people who would otherwise have the strength to stand against something would not have the strength to stand against it because they had to take care of their children. They are using our children as weapons against us. Francis Bacon made the statement, he says, "He who hath wife and child hath given hostages to fortune, for they are impediments to great enterprise." That's an interesting saying, and it simply means that when you have people depending on you, you don't have the freedom, or people don't think you have the freedom, to take those principled stands that you would otherwise. Many of you might remember the scene in The Patriot, a great movie, where Mel Gibson, whoever his character was, I forget, stood up in the meeting when the local militia leader was trying to, get funding, or I forget what it was, but they were trying to get support for the militia. And even though he had been a hero in the French and Indian Wars, the character, he said no, he would not vote for revolution. And somebody, asked him where his principles were, and he said in a very weak statement, I thought this was unfortunate. He says, "I'm a parent. I can't afford principles." That's a bunch of BS. Great movie, horrible line, horrible scene. You must, if you're a parent, it's all the more important that you stand on your principles, because your kids will not always remember everything you said. They'll remember everything you did. And everything you do is a lesson to them. You are leaving your legacy now, not just for your kids, but the principles that you instill in them by showing them, not telling them. Those are the principles that we passed on to their kids and their kids and their kids and their kids. So these things are extremely important. So this system felt that they were going to be able to hold us over a barrel and force us to go against our principles, to do things, to submit to an obviously discriminatory practice, because we would be afraid we couldn't support our families. That is just, I can't say on YouTube the words that I would like to use to describe my feelings about this, but I'll say this. This is one of the reasons that I promote multiple income streams. Now, I told them flat out too, because I didn't want them to think they had me over a barrel. I said, if we end up losing this, that's okay. We will win in the end. But if we lose this particular fight with the system, it will affect us, and we will no longer have a large part of our income. Okay, but it won't devastate us, because quite a while back I started developing other income streams. And so they do not hold us in the palm of their hand. They can't squish us if we don't do what they say. And that's why everybody needs to do that. You can have a job. These were nice, cushy jobs. Um, but they should not be the thing that someone can hold over your head and force you to go against what you believe in. So we'll see how all this comes out. I look forward to each step. I look forward to talking to the next people in line, whoever I go to, and introducing them to the principles that many of us are standing on against these obviously unfair and what I consider to be immoral stands by many of these corporations. And it was tried by our government, but props to all of the, first off, the courts who have had the guts to stand up against it, so many of the elected officials who have stood up against it. In this case, so far, politics is operating the way that it should. We'll see what happens. I'm trying to think if there was something else oh yeah, there are two more things that I wanted to say. When I was talking to the people, and I had a meeting over the phone just yesterday on the latest level of my grievance against this discipline, they wished me well, and I said, don't worry. I said, God has always taken care of us, and he will take care of us now. And I have no worries about that a bit. And that's kind of what I want to say to you all out there. I've gotten so many comments from you people who are standing up strong. And in many cases, because I read your comments, in many cases you say you have quit, or they can take your job, or if you have told your boss they can stick it, and you don't know what you'll do. You don't have other income sources maybe, but you're standing by your principles. Boy, props to you, compliments to you. You are worthy of all of our respect. Putting your faith in God like that, God will, I pray, and I know everybody here does as well, that God will be with you, he will strengthen you, he will guide you, and he will richly bless and keep you for a stand you take in his name. I think that's all I'm going to say now. I'll keep you up. I got other videos to do, but I wanted just to bring you up to date on this, give you some ideas about yourself. I ask everybody, please, share your stories. What's going on down here, or people that you know. Share your stories, because it does help when other people can read your comments and know what you're going through and how you're handling it. And as you share those stories, it allows those of us who read your comments to keep you in our prayers. So we do. Close off with that. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. That goes back to developing multiple income streams. Don't rely on some faceless, heartless corporation to provide for your children or your future. And finally, in the end, the greatest preparation is relying on God and his grace and his bounty, because he will take care of you. You all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.